would like to ask you about Rwanda. Do you agree with the Archbishop of Canterbury and all his bishops who say that this is an immoral policy that shames Britain?
Well, we think this policy is unworkable. It's completely unworkable. It's very expensive, extortionate, in fact. And I would agree to some extent in that we think it is also unethical and quite un-British as well. And I think, it's for all of those reasons that we think that this is the wrong policy at the wrong time.
Well, what would be the right policy?
Well, there are lots of things the government could and should be doing. I mean, let's first of all remember that the number of small boat journeys that are coming across the Channel have massively increased under this government's watch, going up.
Is that because of this government's policies?
Well, yes, because they haven't come to arrangements with France and Belgium, and any arrangements that have.
What do you mean they haven't come to any arrangements? I mean, we're paying tens of millions of taxpayers' money to the French to stop people getting on boats on the beaches in France. We've asked them to negotiate. What else do you want us to do in this country?
Well, we haven't made that. We haven't made that work at all.
We haven't made that work, or the French and the Belgians haven't made that work?
Well, both. I mean, we haven't made that.
If we pay the French to stop people from getting on boats across the Channel, and then they don't stop people, and you think that's the government's fault?
No, that isn't.
So it's not the government's fault.
It's a massive oversimplification of what is.
Isn't that exactly what's happening?
And there are other ways as well. So it isn't what is happening. We should be working in partnership, not just with the French and the Belgians.
They don't want these people.
Can I finish my point?
Okay.
We need to have return arrangements as well, which we don't have at the moment.
And why don't we have those?
Because we've not negotiated them.
No, because they don't want them back.
Away from them. Well, we've not negotiated them, any return arrangements, but not just with the French.
They've said they don't want them back. Well. They're not going to negotiate that. You think, again, this is the thing I find, I think a lot of my listeners and viewers would agree with me on, is that people criticising this policy, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty to criticise with this policy, is what is the alternative? The alternative always seems to be that we should do more in this country to negotiate, to cajole, to persuade other countries to do what they're supposed to be doing already.
No, we've completely decided not to negotiate some of the return arrangements, which we did used to have in place, and this government decided not to
because
have in
people
place.
were never returned.
There is also the biggest backlog there has ever been in processing asylum claims in this country. I mean, you'll know what a complete nightmare it is for the Home Office at the moment with the passport backlogs. They've got this huge backlog in processing. So legitimate claims aren't being dealt with quickly, and unlegitimate claims, people that don't have good reason to be here, are spending years in expensive hotels while these claims are being processed.
Presumably the hotels in Rwanda are a bit cheaper. So would it not be sensible to process these people in Rwanda, in a much cheaper country?
Well, it's not much cheaper at all. It's going to cost, estimates suggest that it could cost over £1 million per refugee.
So
it's massively extortionate. Well, it's already. I mean, we're potentially going to have 3 people, 4, 5 people, single-digit people going today on a purposely chartered
flight.
Whose
fault is that?
That is not a cost-effective way.
But the government wanted 130 people to be on that flight.
It is incredibly that's their problem for making it an unworkable policy. Which is
it's been struck down by. It's been struck down by. There are various appeals, but this is the thing. A lot of people will be asking. This is a democratically elected government enacting a policy that is popular with British people, and yet it's being struck down by. Again, it's not the human rights lawyers that struck it down. It's the judges, I think, wrongly interpreting human rights legislation to strike these down. But the fundamental thing is, who decides policy in this country anymore? Is it the government and Parliament, or is it the judges, unelected, unaccountable judges?
Well, look, we try to see this policy off in Parliament. That is our job as parliamentarians and the opposition. It's for the government to ensure that their own policies meet our other international legal obligations, obligations that we've had proudly had for decades in this country to provide safe sanctuary for those fleeing persecution and war and refugee, as we have shown in this country over Ukrainian refugees recently. And this policy is unworkable. It is extortionate, you know, and it isn't very British.
Let's talk about, first of all, the Rwanda flights. We're told that this flight is due to take off today. We're down to, I think, 7 migrants, possibly even fewer than that, getting on board. £500,000 cost. Is it even worth sending this flight now?
The important point is how much illegal immigration is already costing Britain. And this is why we need to press ahead with the flights. This is why we need to make sure that people go today. And if they're not on the flight today, they will be on subsequent flights, because this is about deterring the illegal people traffickers from sending people to the United Kingdom through these appalling routes, including across the English Channel.
The Archbishop and others in the Church of England have condemned the policy as an immoral policy that shames Britain. Are they right?
The people that are immoral are the people traffickers trading in people's lives. And we are very clear that we need this policy. We've done this agreement with Rwanda. It's a perfectly safe place for people to go. And this is about following through, and the Home Secretary is doing an excellent job taking on these lawyers who are trying to stop this happening and making sure the flight takes off and subsequent flights take off to show that the policy works and that people will not be rewarded for doing the wrong thing.
Well, I mean, the human rights lawyers are entitled to do what they do. It's about the judges' rulings, isn't it? But who makes policy in this country anymore? Is it the government or is it the judges these days?
It's the government, and its Parliament is sovereign, and we make the decisions.
OK, well, shall we see whether that flight does actually go or not?